Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Harakah, Kodash. Double honors unto your apostles and elders, great mills on all well, and shalom to the whole full elect. This is Paya Allah of the GMS London camp with another epistle. This one's entitled Small Small. And the title's inspired by obviously the subject matter, but it's actually funny enough, I thought of the title when then I was speaking to someone and they actually said the same saying, but it's like a broken English way of saying little bit, basically. So, small, small. So, and that's the reason why I chose that title, was because it's dealing with gradualism, right? What we're seeing going on presently in the earth is gradualism, okay? And what am I talking about? I'm talking about ultimately the kingdom of heaven, all right? That's the ultimate backdrop to everything. But at the forefront, you have gradualism in the form of Esau trying to obtain solidify his rulership upon the earth, right? By working his agenda into place, okay? Small, small. So he's gradually trying to, get set in stone so that he can rule the people in the stead of the Most High, right? All seeing, all being, omnipotent, so to speak, through his technology. The eyes like a man. So without further ado, I'm just gonna get into it. This is Daniel's 8:25, and it says, and through his policy, I like this actually. So it says Daniel's 8:25. It says, and through his policy also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. All right. So this is dealing with Esau Edom, right? Who's today known as so-called white man, right? Who've cunningly done that to basically deceive the people upon the face of the earth, right? So it says, and through his policy, right? The policies that he makes, his laws, right? Like it tells you in Isaiah the 10th chapter. Because my mind is racking, I know that there's something there. Read it. So it says, woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees and right grievances which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that the widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. So basically, that's an insight into policy. That's what the policy does. So he writes a law, and basically that law ultimately separates Israel from their power. Okay, they've devised a way. That's one of Satan's devices. But now this is ultimately everyone has to feel the effect of that. But it's directed at the nation of Israel, and more so the elect of the nation of Israel. All right, and through his policy also he calls craft to prosper in his hand. All right, what's the craft? His New World Order. All right, that's why you have the image of the beast presently. It's been rolled out for a long time, but it's coming to a head. That's why you got more people. That's why you had the Pope recently come out and say that they should accept gay marriage or something to that effect, because basically that's that craft prospering through policy. Okay, so and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. All right, so it says he shall magnify himself in his heart. All right. So what's that talking about? In his mind, he's going to think he's more than he really is. But as it tells you in the book of Sirach, it tells you pride was not made for man. And by peace shall destroy many, all right? Because those policies, they're built upon what? Peace, all right? Like the peace treaties that were made with Gad, all right? What is peace? If you sign a peace treaty with someone, they basically think that they're at peace, okay? But then when they're basically relaxing, that's when you turn up on them, all right? That's why it says in the book of Psalms, the 55th chapter, it basically speaks about the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart, all right? But unfortunately for the nation of Israel, as it tells you in Isaiah 30:10, is that they basically say, speak unto us smooth things, all right? they basically want to get the ego stroked. They want to feel good, all right, and be told everything's gonna be all right and get a pat on the back, all right. But that's not what's going on, all right. This ain't about smooth things, okay. But ultimately, them wanting smooth things, Esau's the best candidate to give them those smooth things, okay. And in turn, that's why you get the book of Sirach telling you about never trust thine enemy, for as iron rusteth, so doth his wickedness. And then look under a magnifying glass, you see that, you wipe away the rust, but then look under a looking glass and you see that it's still there, right? And in saying that it's still there, it basically tells you that though he humble himself and go about couching, take not heed, all right? So that shows you that his whole thing is about finessing you, okay, out of your position. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. So ultimately, he's gradually working to a position to have total control over the earth, but it's not going to prosper, okay? But I want to give an example of what he's doing. Now, the fact that it's not going to prosper is good, but then you have to understand it's going to get worse before it gets better. And that's why you have a thing called the hour of temptation, also known as Jacob's trouble, all right? And that's basically where that's basically the grounds for the proving of your faith, basically. No, I'm in the wrong place. It's lucky. Fuck. Alright, so this is the example. It says First Maccabees 8:1. I'm going to read down to 4. The point is in verse 4. Now Judas had heard of the Romans, right? So you have the Romans inside of the Bible, okay? That they were mighty and valiant men, and such as would lovingly accept that joined themselves unto them. Which would lovingly accept all that join themselves unto them, and make a league of amity with all that came unto them, right? This is back then, and that they were men of great valor. It was told him also of their wars and noble acts which they had done among the Galatians, and how they had conquered them and brought them under tribute, right? Because they were using the phalanx, I believe it's called, which was basically utilized by the Spartans, our kin, all right, down there in Greece. You basically used, a take on a tortoise shell, maneuvering forward with spears and whatnot. And they basically utilized that and stepped into their blessing, right, of rulers over the earth by way of the sword, okay? So it says, verse 3, and what they had done in the country of Spain, for winning of the mines of the silver and gold which is there. Now this is the point. And that by their policy and patience they had conquered all the place. Now that's the key thing. All these things you see going on in the earth today, all right, dealing with COVID-19, lockdown part 2, all right, the vaccine not being here, the dillying and the dallying of the powers that be is basically by design, because they're working down the morale of the people to make them more susceptible, cunningly so, to their agenda, okay? So it says, and that by their policy and patience that they had conquered all the place. That's the main point. They conquered all the place by how? And that by their policy and patience, they had conquered all the place. All right. So what you're seeing right now with this lockdown, all right, it didn't take one lockdown to get people's morale down. And this second lockdown, let's see how long it lasts and let's see what they do. But they're really working the morale of the people, right, down to a point where people just willingly succumb to the powers that be and want to take the chip, all right? So it says, and obviously they need to present the chip in a manner whereby, it can be seen as the only way out, right? And if like us that have the eyes to see and ears to hear, you can see all roads lead to the chip, right? But these people don't know yet. They ain't seen it, right? but at some point it's going to be made evident. Although you have some people that see something ain't right, all right? So it says, and by their policy and patience they had conquered all the place, though it were very far from them, and the kings also that came against them. So what does it mean that though they were very far from them? There's a lack of resource, right, when going to those far places, but their patience and policy and their basic skill set, ultimately the blessing of the Lord allowed them to conquer those places. And the kings also that came against them from the utmost part of the earth, till they had discomforted them and given them a great overthrow, so that they did rest, so that the rest did give them tribute every year. Okay, so basically that's them coming into their blessing and utilizing it, right, when they had success, right, before Rome fell, right. And though right now we're in the time where Babylon's basically on its way out, right, but those it has it to those that have an untrained eye, it may seem like it's gonna go on forever. It's gonna suffer the same way Rome did, but in a worse fashion. Right, so this is Psalms 49 and 11. I'm going to end on this. It says, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. So remember I read in Daniel's 8th chapter how that their mind, that they in their heart, they basically gave themselves uh, unrealistic standing of themselves in their mind, right? That's basically this. This is what it's talking about. It's talking about that in this. So it says Psalms 49:11. The inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations, right? So they think that that's why they practice a thing called I don't know if it's called progeny. I can't remember what it is. The word escapes me right now. But they pass all their goods down, especially dealing with the 12 banking families. They breed within each other and they pass down their assets so they can, when they come back, because they understand reincarnation, when they come back in their stead, they basically still have all their resource, right? They call their lands after their own names, right? That's why you have America, Africa, Asia, all these different places, lands that are not allotted to them. They basically name them after themselves, right? Being Latin names and names of people that conquered it and whatnot, right? Nevertheless, man being in honor abideth not, right? So men of honor don't abide, all right? And they're not there. He is like the beasts that perish, right? So basically saying men of honor don't abide, all right? So they don't live forever, all right? But it said he is like beasts that perish. Everyone dies basically, right? Even though they think they're going to live forever and have this power forever. It says this their way is their folly. So this their way is their own folly. This is their stupidity. Yet their posterity approve their sayings. So see, yet the ones that they give birth to approve their sayings. They walk in the same stead and believe the same thing. Salah. But the hook, line, and sinker is Isaiah 14:21. It tells you prepare slaughter for his children and for the iniquity of their fathers, all right? Because they are their fathers in reincarnation, all right? So only they're going to be handed an overthrow, but right now they're practicing gradualism, all right? So don't be fooled by all the things you're seeing going on in the media. The end is nigh. So with that, I pray you're edified. Till the next one, say shalom.